Hey everyone, it's been a while, but today I'll be watching a movie, Citizen Vigilante. Now, this is a movie that came out like 2 weeks ago, and I haven't yet a chance to watch this movie because, well, for one, I didn't even know it existed until like today, so there's that. This is a movie that's also apparently quite contentious because it's talking about the issue of immigration, one that scares Europeans to death, because, well, apparently several European countries sort of banned the film in order to prevent their public from viewing it, like the UK and Germany and I think several others. As for me, I'll be watching it from straight to finish, and I'll be giving my commentary as we go along. So, there'll be pauses, there's just gonna be pauses, basically, long pauses probably. And I hope that doesn't take too much away from the viewing experience, but this is a reaction to the whole thing. It'll be a commentary of the whole thing. So that's just how I am. That's how I roll. As for the lens in which I'll be examining this through, it is one that is well informed, having read the Rate Inquiry report that came out several weeks ago in the UK. I made several videos about the topic. I read the whole thing from start to finish, all 200 plus pages. And so it is through those lenses in which I view this film. Keeping that in mind, feel free to click off if you want. I don't really, it doesn't matter. But anyways, I'll go ahead and watch this movie. Hopefully with not too many pauses. But let's go. Oh geez. See, this is the pause that I'm talking about, by the way, or these are pauses. This looks like Eastern European, Slavic language, maybe. Oh. Whoa. I have to say, just the effects are a bit over the top, but yeah. I was just thinking of how similar this was to the Irina Aritzka stabbing that happened in was it North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere around there in the U.S. Same thing, just stabbed in the neck, random, completely random. And how many instances like this has happened thus far? Not just in Europe, but the West as a whole. Quite a few, I imagine. So is this the protagonist, I'm assuming? Oh. Never mind. Yeah. It's not just Africans, by the way. It's also people from all across the Middle East and South Asia. It's just terrible all around. Foreigners, really. Yeah. By the way, if you have not yet read my sorry, if you have not yet read the Rape Inquiry reports, I suggest doing so. Because my solution to the matter is not just death, but something along the lines of seizing assets, castration, torture, and execution. So just that. Yeah. The issue, by the way, of these migrants, these foreigners, these fucking animals. Sorry, I will be cursing by the way. Is that they're not just in Europe, although they are the worst in Europe, I'd say, but they're also in the U.S. Oh, geez, that's a lot of guns in Europe. Oh, interesting. So this is talking about contemporary modern issues like Trump and Biden and whatnot. Huh. Well, I guess that makes sense. So I guess this will be in its current day then. The timing of this film. Interesting. It's also criticizing wars, probably in reference to wars in general, because like the Middle East or Iran or whatever. Yep. Worse than that, by the way. For example, I can speak of the UK because I've read the reports in regards to that. There's little cases of immigrants, whether legal or illegal, second generation, third generation, doesn't matter, literally receiving housing benefits, receiving social security or their equivalents of that from the state, taxpayer money from the state, while also raping little girls. Literally at the same time. It's just the most horrendous, perverse thing you can think of. A total inverse of logic, total inverse of how a country should function. And unfortunately, everything he has said thus far is pretty much true. By the way, I noticed that, like, for example, the newscaster earlier was speaking in like a British accent or something, and then this guy speaking in an American accent, and then that woman who got stabbed was speaking in I don't even know accent. That was probably in Eastern Europe, so it's all over the place, kind of. So I know where exactly it's going with this, but anyways. Oh, now I know. Now I understand. So if he is an American, like within this film, then that's the reason why he has all the guns. Like that makes so much sense. Okay, okay, that's pretty funny. Okay, that's pretty clever. Gosh, gunfire. Oh, geez, brain matter. Oh yeah, Canada's okay. If you think America's bad, Canada is way worse than anything. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Europe is the worst, but like Canada is like right between that and America. I'm not even sure about Australia, but I'm sure it's along there too. But Canadians, they're just so these days. Like most of the people in the West are quite weak. And when I talk about Westerners, I'm talking about white people because everybody knows what it means. Okay, joke. Oh, okay. I thought these were two different people. Okay, interesting. So I guess this guy's different from the. Okay, I'm just stupid. Never mind. Oh. So I'm guessing there's going to be a dynamic between the vigilante and this like detective or whatever. Oh, it's like a SWAT team, but not like a military event. Yeah. Humvee. Yeah. So like, this is a stupid thing. I mean, it's not necessarily stupid because to an extent it's true, right? Russia and China. Again, I'm Chinese, like ethnically Chinese, so I should know a bit about this. They both subvert the West through social media, through bot farms, and whatever. But that doesn't mean that everything they say is necessarily wrong. Of course, they're the ones actually that try to divide the West from within, but the West is doing that to themselves, more or less. So that's the whole unfortunate case of the matter. But blaming everything on foreign adversaries is not the correct way to do things. Because at the end of the day, the blame lies on you who are manipulated. And in many cases, the Western politicians are not necessarily even manipulated. They're just pro-immigration. They're just pro-crime. And so we have this. And much worse. The rapes, especially. The mass gang rapes are just the most horrendous things I've ever read. But maybe they'll talk about that here in this movie. Sorry. Africans. Actually, no, that one's not an African. 150. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, in the U.S., we don't really have much of public transportation. Unless you live like in the major cities, but yeah, I forgot they had that in Europe. Buses. Oh, this guy's gonna kill him. Bro, this is the most. Now, I'm not a film critic, but I will be critiquing this film, even though I agree with the general message of anti-immigration. This is a pretty, so far, it's a pretty bad film. Like, when you're taking out the topic, the context of what is being discussed. Should I give my full? No, I'll just give my honest reaction to this. So far, the corny effects and all that. Like, I fully understand what they're trying to go for, but it's not working. The audio qualities is also another issue, and yeah, they're not going to listen to like a random stranger lecturing them. It doesn't make any sense, especially if they're known to be, as by the bus driver, rebels or nuisances. It just doesn't make any sense at all why they listen to an authority figure. Just whatever. Basically, what I'm saying is that it's a bit too preachy. It's a bit too overbearing with its messaging. It should just be done through it should be a show not tell, basically. But I'm really judging this harshly right now. But anyways. Oh. Wait. What the heck? Wait, so after you lecture them, you're gonna pull out a gun and threaten their lives? What? Okay, this is hilarious actually. Is this guy like a? Okay, let me just continue. I don't even know what's going on. Also, the acting is like horrible because he should be. Okay, whatever. Like, hey, you just have a guy pull up a gun on you, like in the middle of Europe, a random American guy pull up a gun on you, like what? On a bus, like, and you have no reaction whatsoever. It's just, like, I'm really sorry about this, but it's it's just how I watch things, how I react to things. Even if I agree with their messaging, I can have, I could critique their style of directing pretty much. Was that a knife just now? Like a boxer knife? Oh, is he gonna kill him? Is this kind of like a or anti-hero complex kind of thing? I don't know. I'll probably give my full thoughts at the end of it, but I just stopped pausing too much. Go to a hospital, visit someone. I bet this guy's thinking not nearly enough, not nearly damn enough. And here's the thing, right? This is such a soft, moderate position in Europe, and most of the West, is that the worst maximal position you could take is that I don't know, you have life in prison or something. But having read the the raping inquiry reports, in several cases, you literally have the rapist, the children rapist, or sorry, I should say the child rapist, be let out in like less than 4 years, because 4 years is like the minimum sentence they'll get, and then assuming they even get that, they have like a 2 year tariff or parole thing, meaning they can get out in 2 years by appealing. So, first of all, having a lifelong sentence doesn't even make any sense, because you can get out in half the time by appealing. And if you get rid of appeals in first, that would also not work, because they could just like escape. It's just so stupid. Okay, the main thing I'm trying to get at here is, and I'm perhaps not too eloquent because I'm just watching this film right now. Life imprisonment should not even be a discussion point. It should be castration, torture, execution in that order. Anything less than that is a travesty to the victims of rape, of assault, of murder, of anything by these fucking animals. Yeah, here's the other thing: trials. You're giving due process to fucking rapists. I don't think so. You're giving due process to murderers, to these fucking animals, to these barbarians who are not only antithetical to your entire freaking value system, but they happily take advantage of the fact that you give them due process to commit more of these horrendous crimes. And they know the consequences are so weak that they happily do more and more of these crimes. They rape more and more children. They rape more and more women. They murder, they rob, they steal, they do every single freaking thing under the sun, because that is who they are. You cannot have a justice system for non-Westerners. You cannot have a justice system for those who are diametrically opposed to your values. That just does not work. I thought I went on a rant there, but I'll probably be giving more rants. It's only been freaking not that long. Mm-hmm. Over and over again, telling the story over and over again, like those poor girls did in their testimonies in the UK, where they had to retell the fact that they got raped over and over again, over and over again. Yep. 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 Very, very true. Everything he said is very, very true. And it is a travesty that such a justice system is allowed. Because that's not justice at all. That is only rewarding those who rape. That is only rewarding those who are fucking animals who do harm against those who are innocent. A total inversion, a perversion of justice. Yeah, also money, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That was the best done scene thus far. I'd say definitely. Pretty much every category. Again, I'm not a film critic, but I'm freaking autistic. Okay, it's what I am. Oh yeah, Germany. Here's the thing, right? You're not wrong, but you saying that while being in Germany will literally get you freaking arrested. Probably you saying that in the UK or any of these countries will probably get you arrested. While the same police, while the same government does not go after the rapists, the literal murderers, the literal freaking animals, they will rather target and persecute their own citizens rather than even go after, than even attempt to go after these freaking third worlders. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So he is an American. That's for sure. That's hilarious. An American is doing this in Europe. Well, shit. I mean, I can see that happening somehow. The gun restriction. Okay, I just stop. So so he's working in. I guess he's working there then, like as a landlord, sort of like a rental owner. Interesting. I'm sorry. Just now, he kind of looked like Elon Musk because remember when Elon Musk was wearing the I should just like hold on. Elon Musk dark MAGA. This is literally him right now. I mean, like the same, very similar outfit design. I'd say. I don't know if that was intentional or not. That's funny. What the? Okay, sure, why not? I I don't know if this film was made by an American, but I would not be surprised whatsoever if it is one that's made by an American. They're sending out the whole SWAT unit to go after this one guy. Bro, what? Is he literally prepared to go against the SWAT teams? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Hmm, interesting. So it's a very interesting thing that he's brought up here, in particular reference to religion. Now, it's curious that he would. I mean, I'm assuming this is just my reading of this, but it seems he's going against religion. And to a degree, yes, religion does constrain behavior. It does control behavior. It is a moral imposition upon humans. Because without that, you'd be like a freaking barbarian, including those who are secular, by the way. Without religion as the moral foundation on which Western civilization is built, you would just be a freaking animal. And those who are on the right, those who are more so against immigration, who are more so aligned with the general premise of this sort of film, tend to be those who are Christians. So going against religion depends on what type of religion, of course, but there's that to consider. Yeah, that's also true. Religion does control you. All these forces do control you, and they don't necessarily work for your best interest. Oftentimes, they work for their own interests and serve certain populations and whatnot. For example, the governments in Europe, they don't serve the interests of the indigenous Europeans. They want political power, and therefore they target demographics, ethnic demographics that would vote as a voting bloc. Therefore, why would you need to cater to certain political demands when you could just cater towards one demand and have the entire demographic vote for you? Therefore, when it comes to the UK, many politicians looked away from the Muslim rape gangs because the Muslims would vote for them, and therefore they wouldn't want to jeopardize that. And that's the unfortunate reality of things, because it really should be the other way around. It should be the ideal that the government works for the people, and that, I shouldn't go on, but you understand what I'm saying. So I guess that does make sense, like citizen vigilante, right? The whole theme of this thing is that you're trying to fight against the system. However, fighting against the system, well, literally fighting against them is kind of, my opinion on it doesn't make any sense. You could just use them instead. That's the point. Yeah, the police themselves, of course, there are some cases in which, yes, they are fully aware of what they're doing, but in many cases, they're just rank and file. They're merely following orders. And you really shouldn't fight against them. You should try to get them on your side more than anything else. That is my opinion on the matter. Trail. What do you call it? Brothel? Strip club? Keep in mind, in many cases, prostitutes, even like porn actresses or what do you call it, cam girls or whatever you call them. From what I read in the Rape Gang Inquiry reports, there's several cases in which young girls were groomed and then raped and exploited to be used as cam girls or as prostitutes. And so if you think this is legal and therefore it's okay or whatever, it's not. It is definitely not. Here's what I don't understand. Everything I just said, basically, about girls being exploited. This makes no sense. Like I'm talking about like young white girls being exploited, groomed, and then raped, and then whatever, and then later on being exploited again as prostitutes. And if someone is trying to work for the best interests of white people, which this film seems to be intending to be doing, restricting immigration, all that, this is like doing the opposite in a way. It is degrading Europeans. It is degrading people, women, children. Is that black mold? I like he's trying to explain this, like same thing which he did earlier with those guys on the bus. It's like, okay, man, this is just the most random like moments of lecturing. Like, okay, sure. I don't understand. I literally don't understand. Counting the positions, and I know this is stupid because I remember them. So that'll be 1 plus 2 plus I think 3, right? Wouldn't it be 3? So then 50 plus 30 plus 30, wouldn't that be 110? Because I should stop counting. I should stop. Okay, sorry. Oh, he's a okay, Interpol, interesting. Now the issue is that justice is rarely ever served properly in the full extent of what should be served. Because any crime that's committed against somebody will never be paid fully back. It will never be fully reimbursed. For example, if you rape a girl, if you have somebody rape a girl, that girl is harmed irrevocably. So there's no fixing, there's no healing for that, to the point in which she is the same as before. And therefore, the punishments need to be as extreme as possible and beyond what you think is the most extreme version you can think of right now, frankly. But here's the other thing, is that if society does collapse, it's also going to be chaos, right? So it's you just need a competent government, really. Unfortunately, it's hard to find one. So both of them. So everybody here right now is in some Eastern European country. It seems. It seems, and every other guy is like a freaking American for some reason. Oh, drugging. Very nice. So here's the issue I have with this part. Presumably, the main protagonist here is going to stop these two guys from drugging and raping some girls, and that is, generally speaking, a moral good thing, right? I think everybody can agree with that. But he's making a moral position, one that he claimed in the earlier video when he was recording himself, that moral impositions are made upon society in order to control them, and that's correct. But he's making an implication that you shouldn't follow those moral impositions. But this is one such moral imposition. When he was sexually engaging with that girl earlier, that prostitute, that was also aligning with what he recorded himself saying, in that you should not necessarily, the implication at least was that you should not necessarily follow moral laws. Except that kind of goes against his entire character, and perhaps this will build up to something else that I have no idea. But as far as that's what I'm thinking of. That right now he is a bit of a hypocrite within his own worldview, in that he has a certain set of morals, but the morals are not congruent. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And I know I'm not articulate with this sort of stuff, and not eloquent either, but it's about as best as I can explain it, without getting too long-winded or anything like that. Oh, is he gonna get that police guy on his side? Which why he's doing this, and so he's seeing it? Okay, that's funny. Yeah, about that part earlier, where the police was, where he was preparing basically, and was the SWAT team was presumably going to the main protagonist's location. Whatever happened to that? That sort of just was never explained. But okay. Oh, okay, never mind. So this was a retelling, basically, of the bar story. Okay, it's hopping back and forth. Okay, otherwise it'd be totally inconsistent. Yeah, it needs they need to the director should have better explained this, or should have you know helped the viewers understand what was going on, because otherwise it just seems like a whiplash sort of thing. So he's giving these lectures, right? Reinforcing what I'm saying earlier. He's giving these lectures, these moral lectures, these things that seem generally good advice, but at the same time, engaging in prostitution, having sex with a prostitute, it's it's not morally congruent. And understand, he said, the morals are imposed, but then you cannot follow some morals when neglecting others, while still claiming to be so-called for the people of Europe, or for the general well-being of Europeans or white people. This is a moral failing, and perhaps it should be better explored later on. But that is what I'm seeing right now. It is a very strong contradiction, and it may be needed for character development or something of that sort. He's thinking, oh, maybe he's not as bad as I thought he was. And here's maybe something to take into account. This guy earlier, he presumably saw what was going on, but he allowed it to happen anyways. So, perhaps that's a critique of the police as well. Ah, interesting. Okay, so this is good, right? So it brings it back to the present day. That was a long sequence, though, at least for me. So who knows? Here's the thing. So what are exactly these sequences of events? Because earlier when he was within the orange room giving that interview, that seems to be a police interview. Is that before or after this? You know, I'm saying basically that as I said earlier, there's you have like three different timelines going on basically at the same time, which makes it confusing for the viewer. Just my critique. Security cameras? Handguns. Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So within the house, he has a little closet that he's hiding in. That's of course heavily armored. And presumably, I'm gonna assume that he's gonna have like several bombs or traps set up. Again, this is like the most retarded thing because if your message is trying to promote anti-immigration or right-wing governments or something like that, having this be the outcome in which you're literally killing police officers, presumably going to kill police officers, is like the most retarded thing because then you get it just poisons the well, so to speak. But this is kind of like an American wet dream, having guns, a lot of ammunition. It just it's pretty good. Drone shot, POV. Bomb set off, assuming. Oh, yeah. Breach charge. Wait, sorry. Let me look at that. Okay. At first I thought he was. Oh my gosh. At first I thought this was like a freaking sombrero, like one of those hats. Like I'm not sure if you noticed or not. It depends where you come from, but I literally thought it was one of these things like Mexicans wear. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. But okay, never mind. Okay. Oh, so they already knew that he had a hideout like this. Okay, interesting. And the main Interpol guy still isn't wearing like body armor or something. It's weird. Oh wait, no, they don't. Okay, I presumably they search everywhere else, and then this is the final room. I don't know. I'm just criticizing the heck out of this right now. This is definitely vigilante sort of behavior. This is the most retarded. Okay, not necessarily the most retarded, but this sort of messaging will get reasonably angry young men to do the same, probably. And therefore, understand. I freaking, it's just so stupid. You know, the whole thing of it, having justice, having immediate justice. I can understand that, and in fact, I agree with that. But having this, you know, confronting the police like this. Of course, the police are confronting you, which is a, but oh my gosh, killing the police is never the answer, unless they're explicitly doing something bad. You know, but never like this. Never like this. That's for sure. I mean, they don't see the guns. Like, this is clearly metal. Like, you have a better system. You could literally just okay. Never mind. I'm putting too much thought into this. It's stupid. This is the most again retarded thing I've ever seen. And what is this like cheerful, upbeat music playing in the background? Like, what? This is the most brain dead thing I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot considering I'm freaking Gen Z. Oh my gosh. Oh, do you hear this? I'm not sure the audio is getting played well on your end, but the freaking upbeat, like, like, oh my gosh, dude, what is this? None of this makes any freaking sense. Oh. And you keep sending the guys, like, that's gonna do anything. Oh my gosh, it's there's so many other ways you can do this. You know, oh gosh, okay, bruh, gosh, the special effects are so bad as well. It's just like, oh my gosh. You keep hearing this music and it's like happy upbeat music and none of this makes any sense, like any thematic sense, any like oh gosh. Is this the first time we're getting his name, Sanders? I'm not sure. So what, he just walked out, or is this another time flashback? Oh my gosh. Oh, is this the management of the property? So bureaucracy. So basically, yeah, it fits within the theme, right? Makes sense. Citizen vigilante. You're trying to do things as fast and efficient as possible. Therefore, these bureaucratic processes, which helps nobody, is, you know, backstory this late in the film. Okay. United States Military Academy. So probably him. U.S. Army. Okay. Oh, but he was railing against wars, basically. Interesting. Despite being a veteran himself. Okay. So you're saying he's an illegal immigrant? Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. That's like I don't know what this thing was going with, like this movie necessarily was going with, but this is just like the most it's a very contradictory movie in many ways. Maybe that's what the director was going for, but it's definitely how I see it. That's for sure. He's literally an immigrant. Of course, there's a difference. Yeah, everybody knows that, but it's just funny. Isn't that the same argument that literal like immigrants use? Like, I don't know if this guy's like the director's trying to play into the hypocrisy or something, but I don't know. And of course, this is an entirely fictional thing, so it's completely unrealistic. But somebody who's this rich would not usually go out of their way to try to fight the police, fight like if you feel so strongly about immigration or whatever, you could very easily accomplish far more by just like having your own gang do the dirty work, as well as having the police and lobbying governments, government officials basically, to do what you want if you're that rich. Like you said, 50 million in revenue, about roughly speaking per year. Like assuming that's revenue, that's not profit. It depends on how much the upkeep is, but generally speaking, that's like quite a bit of profit, like easily tens of millions of profit. Meaning, you have more than enough to bribe, to lobby, to do whatever you want through political means, and you also have enough to hire your own team to do the dirty stuff that the police won't touch. So I have no idea why this is. I mean, it's completely unrealistic because it's a fiction, but again, it jumps across several timelines. Like, my gosh, stick with one, right? It's just. I think this is a bar. Yeah, it is. This guy definitely seems a little bit unhinged. I mean, he's fighting a police, so that's yeah, that makes sense. So is he like talking to the therapist or something, or no? Presumably he's talking to the police. No, maybe I don't know. Random exposition, not exposition. So presumably he escaped at this point. Okay, that's weird. Like he was literally sending them like the time to travel from their location, which is right over there, to. I'm trying to use logic in like a movie, which is like stupid, but it's just what my brain does. It's not. None of this makes any sense. Okay, sure. He's literally speaking an American accent with an Eastern Europe. Like, okay, sure, why not? Using this as justification to go after those animals. Frankly, you don't need justification. This alone suffices. The fact that a girl was raped, presumably. Good transition. But again, there's no explanation for what happened. You sort of just expected to know what happened. Yeah, so she was confused with him and the main protagonist Sanders being like similar looking and therefore the same person. I had that realization in the first few seconds after seeing him, but yeah, I was initially fooled too. They really do look quite alike. Just this guy looks a lot older. Oh, now he knows. Huh? He might just be, or she might just be describing a rapist instead, presumably. Yeah, the dialogue here is kind of confusing, unless it's intentionally confusing. I don't know. Yeah, European roads. Look at that. Freaking parking on the sideway like that. Classic Europe. Oh, so now he's gonna kill the kids or the young adults, whatever. The setups are kind of cool, more or less, but that's about it. A taser. The shots are kind of bad because you have to censor that, I guess. But it's yeah, a lot harsher, by the way, is what I'm thinking of. But what happens to the girl though? Like, I don't think it showed her running away. Hmm. Flashing back and forth, yeah, quite a bit. Wait, how do you know the box is empty before entering the room? Then earlier when you mentioned that, yeah, there's like a lot of plot holes that are freaking appearing in all this, like because they stopped firing you or because he stopped firing you. Like, what? I don't understand. Could be just like a bomb or something. Drugs. Police. So presumably he would be outside by now. So going after the judges who passed bad judgment, presumably on that girl who was presumably raped by some animals, migrants or whatever, foreigners. Yeah, yeah, judges should also be held accountable. Of course, again, I'm conflicted about all this because the movie sucks. Like, I'm gonna be honest right now, the movie so far kind of sucks. Like, I agree with some of the messaging, but it's twisted by some of the other actions that he does. Oh, this is judge. Multiple people, not just the judge. Then maybe this is not the judge. It could be the rapist. Yes, okay. Well, again, it actually might be the judge's family or something because like this guy, the director flipped. He does whiplash a lot, or he causes whiplash a lot by shifting between timelines. What drugs? Like meth? Oh. Yeah, I thought. Yeah. No, it doesn't matter your age. Rape is wrong, regardless. Everybody understands. It's a process when you rape somebody. It is something that you have to be fully aware of what you're doing when you're doing it. And therefore, it doesn't matter the age of the perpetrators. It doesn't matter what they are or where they came from. It doesn't matter any of that. What matters is that they be judged properly. And properly means castration, torture, and execution in that order. Just because they are mentally deficient in some category does not mean they get away with rape. Rape is one of the most horrendous crimes that should be met with as much violence as it could possibly beget. Yep. So this interaction with the judge must have taken place after this interaction with the police, because he had a police uniform or a vest on. So okay. Yeah, bomb. Oh geez, that's graphic. What? This is the most. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is actually so like retarded. I again, some of what he's saying I fully agree with. His actions though are like some of the most poisoning of the well, poisoning of the movement that is against immigration I've ever seen. I have no idea why the UK, Germany, and these various other European countries decide to ban this. If anything, it vilifies vigilantes. It vilifies, oh gosh, you literally just like randomly cause death, if not injury, and definitely property damage to some random civilian, just because you want to prove a point to a guy that he's already like OD'd on heroin. Like, it doesn't make any sense. None of this is logical. I, uh, I'm just taken aback by how, honestly, thematically, cinematically, and every other addedly like shit this movie is. My gosh. Okay. Anyways, and again, like this can serve a certain point. Like it may be the message that the director is trying to tell. Unfortunately, I don't think that's what's happening. I'm not sure if that's happening or not necessarily. Anyways. This is so dumb. Oh, these must be the officers. Oh, it could be. Again, retardation, right? Actual retardation. You cannot integrate those who are diametrically opposed to your civilization, who are literally raping your girls. No, there's no integration in that. Furthermore, integration as a whole is just like retarded, but gosh, I keep saying the same things, so there's no point in saying them again. This is, of course, an exaggeration, but not really that far an exaggeration. Because when we look at politics, when we look at politicians in the West who allowed this sort of behavior to go on, this is pretty much what they say, more or less. They may be exaggerating, playing it up a little bit in the film, but it's not really that much of an exaggeration when it comes to what happens in real life with all those poor girls who are raped in the UK and the millions that are presumably likely have been raped over the course of years all across Europe, all across the West, because politicians see these girls and think, how do we be sympathetic, not to the girls, but to the rapists, to these fucking animals, each and every single time. And it is just abhorrent that's been allowed to happen. And, here's the thing about this film. It has certain qualities, certain aspects of it that are, genuinely good, things that I fully agree it's get behind with, like this. But the way it goes about, not just like cinematically or whatever, it's just so stupid. It's literally just so stupid. You're literally poisoning the movement. You're literally going against. You're muddying the waters. You're making the whole thing worse because you're mixing noble justice, even if it's anti-hero, if it's vigilante or whatever, with literal murder. You're endorsing prostitution pretty much, which is, yeah, it's just a derivative of grooming, of really just rape. Like that it is what it is. And again, it makes no sense whatsoever. None whatsoever. Yeah, the perpetrator's getting traumatized by raping the girl. It does. So they can rape more girls, right? And unfortunately, this is not just a movie that is playing these things up. This is literal reality. This is what's been happening in the West for, 70 years now, really. And the reason why it's been happening is because Westerners, white people, I should say, feel some kind of guilt for everything that white people have historically done. That pretty much everyone else has done. Like slavery, like colonialism, and like genocide or whatever, like Holocaust or whatever. It's such a mundane thing to point out because, and mundane is perhaps not the best word to use to describe such a thing, but literally everybody has done these things. Gosh. And then, unfortunately, white people are the only to blame for all these crimes. And they hate themselves. They've been conditioned, I should say, to hate themselves, to hate their heritage, and to allow these things to go on unfettered, these rapes, this invasion to go on unfettered. Again, I agree with some of these points that you're making, but where's the rest of it? You're basically just. I'm just getting on with it. Oh, I see. He's either gonna burn him alive within that car. Which speaking of, in Eastern Europe, I don't know. That's the case in Europe in general, but I thought they had like the drivers on the right side. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Like maybe I'm just dumb. Perhaps different countries have different rules, but okay, whatever. Here's the thing, right? This would only make sense in the context of him being in the driver's seat, in the passenger, or not in the passenger seat, basically, which is what he's in right now. There's no logic behind this. There's no thinking involved. It's just okay. Also, where's a knife? Like, you don't think about these things. If he had a knife, then the knife would have to be there, and then the DNA of this. It's unless he set the whole thing on fire. Like, there's no, it doesn't make any. There's no thinking involved. Is what I'm saying. Unless, of course, the point is that he wants them to think he did it to himself, but then he wouldn't have drugged him. Oh gosh, I don't know. It's just stupid. These are probably the rapists. Or the family of the rapists. So here is the perhaps critique of the bureaucracy system, the bureaucratic due process BS that we have here in the West. And this right here, this very short interaction, a few seconds interaction, just highlight that. For one, look at this. The family of the rapists and the rapists themselves are clearly not from Europe. The boy raped a girl along with his friends. Gang raped her, I should say. A girl, a young girl. Not only did they get let off the hook, but they're provided with housing, social housing, presumably taxpayer funded. They're provided with food, presumably also education. It's just a total inverse of how things should be, how things are meant to be. And perhaps, according to this protagonist, standards, it's intended as is. And which I would say, yes, actually, you're right in this matter. And furthermore, these migrants are provided legal protection, the same legal protection as anybody else, and perhaps even more so because of their status or whatever. It's literally so perverse. It's not even a mockery of reality because it is reality. That's just such a retarded excuse. When you rape somebody, again, I reiterated this before, it's an intimate process. you are fully aware. You have to be fully aware of what you're doing each and every step of the way. You don't just rape somebody willy-nilly. It's just, even when you're young, you have to be aware of this. If you're not, then that's an issue with you. That's an issue with your culture, or the household in which you were brought up in. And some would say, with your genes. If you are programmed to literally rape a girl as an instinct because you're young, because you don't know any better, then, well, you're not human, frankly. It's certainly not someone who belongs in the West. The more excuses. Yeah. Here's the thing also with the whole lawyer thing, to put it bluntly. It's a whole freaking sham. Lawyers are serving the best interests of their clients. That's retarded. No, they should be serving the best interests of society, of Western civilization, of the people who are living in Western civilization, who are Westerners, not these animals. They should not be serving the best interests of animals like these. They should not be serving the best interests of their own greed. They should only be serving the truth, and truth has been revealed. And if it paints a bad picture of some people, so be it. That's just reality. Excusing rapists because they're their lawyer is just the most retarded thing ever. And this is the issue I have with the legal system, with so many other things, the criminal justice system. It rewards the rapists, the murderers, those who are just criminal in every sense of the word. They reward these rapists, these animals, to continue on raping, while they punish the victims. Gosh, mental health? What, raping? You don't. Again, when the film does these things right, when it targets the themes in which people are drawn in for, they are not drawn into this film because of this guy engaging with a prostitute. In fact, that would drive them away more than anything else. And it's certainly the case for me. When it does do these things right, though, talking about these things, making it more public, it does do it well. I just only wish they kept doing that instead of saying, you should kill the police. It's just so stupid. It's just so freaking retarded. No, there is no forgiveness for rape. Well, actually, technically there is because, Christianity, but no, these are animals. They're not humans. They're not Westerners. They do not deserve forgiveness. Well, nobody deserves forgiveness. That's the point. They should be castrated. They should be tortured, and they should be executed in that order. Different culture. The girl was dressed inappropriately, and therefore she deserves to be raped. Again, this is a civilization. This is a culture. Soul culture. This is the people who are diametrically opposed to your values that you keep importing into the West. Again, it's not you, but it's the freaking governments in the West who are doing this. It's just so suicidal. It's just, you're literally condemning your young girls to be raped. It's just I should stop ranting too much. It doesn't matter. It's their opinion. Furthermore, it's the entire family that they grew up in that enabled this behavior, frankly. They're all at fault. All of them. Exactly, that's what I said. And there's the freaking problem. There it is. And so, if the result of your if the good graces of Westerners is to help these poor animals because they are fighting each other for the billionth time or something, then why do you feel entitled then to rape their daughters? Is there any sense in this? No, they're taking, it's like this classic story of a farmer or something helping a snake in the desert by giving him water, or giving it water. And after giving the snake who's dying of thirst, the snake then bites the man and kills him. This is exactly what's happening with the West, who is who has suicidal empathy, and will willingly throw their own daughters to help these fucking animals. It's just so wrong, so reverse. Here's the funny thing: he's meeting them on the low. Was it the low road on the highway? It doesn't matter. The low road, basically, because what he's doing right now is not democratic. It's not rule of law based. He literally killed officers of the law. I think what it's getting at is that you must meet these animals where they are, and certainly there is truth to that. But it's just perhaps it's not blatantly said, but it is a hypocritic or sort of contradiction to this in a way. Irony, I should say. That's pretty good. By the way, this is how it should be done. But more so than that, the entire families as well. It's not just the individual rapists. The whole communities are in on this. They're insular. They are protected by each other, and they will happily see a million white girls get raped if it means protecting their own. Literally as simple as that. Here's the funny thing, right? Muslim women, I mean, she was wearing hijab earlier, are supposed to be wearing the hijab when they are around their friends. No, not the friends. Any when they can not wear the hijab when they're around women, or when they are around family members, basically. So male family members is fine. So they would already know something's weird or something's off. But I don't know. It's just a small nitpick. Oh, so you went the full slaughter route. Okay, I thought you were gonna torture them first at least, and get them to have more of their friends come because they're all guilty regardless of whether they did the crime themselves personally or not. But okay, I guess it's a somewhat more efficient way than the current system, anyways. But okay. Yeah, I can see why this is banned by what do you call it? The UK and France, by the way, or Germany. I can definitely see why. It is very much citizen vigilante or vigilantism. Yeah. But again, just execution is not enough. Of course, you torture them a little bit at least. You have to castrate them and then torture them extensively, just so that enough that their mind don't yet fully break, so they can understand what they're going through. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Oh, so are these the ones that those police were taking away on the stretchers? Could be. Yeah, so I was right then, probably. That's smart. That's good. That's good actually. Well, no, again, castration and torture and execution, but at least having them seen that. No, they should have had the. You need more fear, right? having them only see the dead bodies for a second is not enough. It's just not. Oh well, whatever. This is, by the way, far more than any sort of justice you'll currently see in the real world. But that's just the unfortunate reality of things. And here's the thing, again, you can just ask them to keep calling more of the friends. It's like, it doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah, a part of the understandable response, by the way. But here's the thing. He is only addressing a symptom, not the cause. The reason why this guy's going after, well, he's a psychopath probably, so that's beyond the point. But the reason why he's doing this is because it's been allowed to happen in the first place. Why rapists are allowed to rape girls in Europe, in the West, is something that the police should have been investigating long before any sort of vigilante stood up the plate, basically. This only happened as a result of the incompetency, and not necessarily even just incompetency, but because the police allowed this to happen. They permitted this to happen. And in the case of the UK, at least in some of the cases of the rape of little girls, the police encouraged this to happen. I remember reading the victims' testimonies, and one of the girls' dad was literally told by police that he should be glad his daughter is getting cultural enrichment. Yeah, she was raped. Fucking animals, I swear. But because the police is not only incompetent, and in some cases, literally participating in the rape themselves, you cannot trust them. At least in the case of Europe. In these countries that permit mass migration, that permit the rape of their little girls, you cannot trust the police fully, nor wholly, nor in any really capacity. But that does not mean that you kill them outright, as is the case here. Obviously, it shouldn't be. And this movie, by the way, should not be a Bible, or it should not be the manual for somebody who's concerned about the state of Europe, concerned about the states of the girls who are being fucking raped. Like, yes, have those concerns, have that rage, have that anger, but direct it usefully. Do not do something like this, because this will turn more people away from this righteous cause, frankly, than it will convince them. And convincing needs to be done, because killing your way will not work. This is a fantasy world, so therefore it does work. He has funds, he has military, and everybody else is just so stupid and incompetent that it works somehow. In the real world, you'd be killed if you even try to attempt anything like this. And your cause will be vilified, and even more migration will happen. Therefore, the film is just pretty bad, honestly. Yeah, correct. Here's the thing. Yes, everything you say is true. You're not wrong. But then again, it doesn't matter. You still don't go and kill police, especially ones who are just doing their job. Even if you warn them, like, what? A police is supposed to take the warning of a madman? No? Oh, gosh. Correct? Yes. You're not going to convince him because you literally just killed his officers. He's wounded heavily because of your little trap. killing somebody's colleagues and then injuring them severely is not going to bring them to your side. Convincing is already out the door the moment you started shooting at them. It's so retarded. Like, forensic evidence exists. Therefore, this is the most. Oh gosh. I mean, I can think of so many. I don't even want to explain this. It's just movie logic, right? I mean, there's no logic. American accent, by the way. So basically, I'm predicting the outcome. That the whole point of this movie is trying to say that vigilante justice will work if it is done. No, it doesn't work. It literally does not. Does that mean that it's, there's understanding as to why it should happen or why it does happen? Yeah, there is. But for example, take Luigi Vigilante, or whatever his name is, killing that United Healthcare CEO. What did it actually change? Literally nothing. You just killed a guy, and it was a result. Literally nothing. You can kill as many of these guys as you want, but doing so, especially like the police, doing so only hurts your cause. And furthermore, this is a fantasy world. You don't actually get away with this in real life. You just die, pretty much. You just go to prison or something else. Now, I fully sympathize with the reasoning behind this. But, again. Now, as for the migrants themselves, the rapists and the animals, yeah, obviously, execution, that's not even a question. Including their families, by the way. Obviously. And keep in mind, they severely undercount, actually, the ones that are done by both legal and illegal immigrants. And furthermore, there are those who are second generation, third generation, whatever, first generation, who are also responsible for a disproportionate amount of crime, yet they're considered British or they're considered German or some other nationality. No, they're not. They shouldn't be. Because such things, such qualifiers, such identities are based off a shared heritage spanning millennia. You're not German simply because your passport says you're German, simply because you're born in Germany. No, you're German by blood, and that is the most important thing. Nothing else matters, frankly. Again, also, when it comes to especially sexual violence, these are only things that are reported, and oftentimes women feel ashamed or they feel social ostracism, especially when it comes from migrants, because saying that they raped you is like racist or something when it's literally true. This is the most retarded. Yeah, not just from Africa, by the way. The Middle East, South Asia. Again, this also relies on the perception that either he releases these clips all over the internet and therefore news channels take them, or he literally hacks into. No, that's stupid. Probably the first option, yeah. And this part where he's addressing the girl, addressing the audience, yeah, he's actually just addressing the audience, those who are viewers watching this. He's saying that in this fictional reality, Sanders, the protagonist, is carrying this out and yielding results. So why should the audience not do the same? This girl is the audience. Until you can do it yourself. Yeah. Promoting vigilante justice. Justified, perhaps. But the murder of cops? Definitely not. Especially if those cops aren't literally raping girls. Especially if they're not complicit in this. It's just, bad logic. And also the prostitution mayhem, all that. Sorry. This film is dedicated to the thousands of rape and murder victims in Europe who are betrayed by our legal system. If you want to do that, if you wanted to have that message, you didn't need to include a prostitution thing, which added literally nothing at all. Like literally nothing. If anything, it took away from your, whole message. Like the police thing at least makes sense because it's a system or whatever. But the prostitution thing makes literally zero sense. In fact, it works against you. Now, I'd argue that police thing also works against you. And also, it's not just thousands. It's like, at the very least, hundreds of thousands, and my personal estimate, well into the millions. Oh, so that's, okay, right now it's pretty good music, actually, for once in a freaking film. Let me see, let's skip around and see if anything else. Okay. So, what are my thoughts on the film? Overall, it's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty shitty. I agree with some of the main message, which is, with the last point, but the main issues, as I've laid out thus far, are the prostitution thing. And again, I keep harping about on that because you're doing this because you have a moral lens, because you see rape as wrong. Why do you see rape as wrong? There's no secular arguments you can give. There's only moral arguments that are stemming from religion. And you can say I'm an atheist and I could say that rape is wrong. Yeah, you could say that, but the reason why you say that, why you even think about that, is because the foundation upon which the West is built is Christianity. And therefore, these moral principles we take into the current day are derivatives of that Christianity that created Western civilization, that was integral in its foundation. And so even if your country is secular, even if the culture is secular, these ideas in which we take about human rights and all of that, perhaps while having been perversed, are derivatives of Christianity. And ideas about laws against rape, laws against murder, they're literal derivatives of Christianity, whether or not you like that. And these things that people do to try to, it doesn't work, is what I'm saying. Again, I'm sympathetic to the cause of anti-immigration. I'm sympathetic to the cause of vast, mass remigration. I'm very sympathetic to the cause of castration, torture, and execution of these animals and their communities wholesale. And given all of that, I still find these issues with the film, with the killing of the police officers, which didn't accomplish anything. And again, there are far better ways to carry out this film. And again, I haven't even touched really the cinematography elements of this, the thematic elements of this, the random bits of monologue that the guy gives about his father or something, like he served in the army, or him working with the tenants, or like his interaction with those kids who were taking over the bus or something like that. None of that is, I think, connected to this. The themes are all over the place and not necessarily congruent, is what I'm saying. And the character as well is all over the place. And there's no real character development. There's no, and not really anything, really. It's just a freaking monologue at the end of the day. Now, this is my critique of the film. And, if you have your own opinions on it, post them, give them, why not? And, having seen this film, generally speaking, I would, if I were to rate this out of, a 10, I would just give this, for the message, right? Even the message is conflicting. Everything is just so, not just mediocre, bad at times. It's the pacing's all over the place. You're switching between things, timelines that don't make sense to the viewer, at least for me, at times. You have plot holes like no other. You have conversations that happen. You have events that happen. You have scenes that happen that adds nothing to the story, that adds nothing to any of the themes that are mentioned. And the whole thing is just why are you talking about black mold? Why did you, oh my gosh. You know what I'm trying to say? Then again, I applaud the director for at least pursuing this to some degree, but I think you're doing more harm than you're good. And I only wish somebody could make something better. Of course, this is from a critiquer perspective. It takes a lot more to make a film than just me yapping about this. I understand that, but this is my opinion. And I hope you had enjoyment, at least, watching this along with me. Some enjoyment watching my reaction, my frustration with it. But that's my opinion. And if you have anything else, let me know in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching.